Hi everybody, this is Dr. Casey again, and I want to talk you through the prospectus assignment or the proposal assignment. And this is the assignment that is one of the earlier steps in writing your issue inquiry essay. So what the prospectus is asking you to do is to think through your plan for your issue inquiry essay and to write a prospectus, that is a proposal, explaining your plan, along with an annotated bibliography of some text that you plan to use as sources. And on the back of this sheet, well, not on the back of the sheet, but actually at the bottom of this, because it's a this is the actual assignment. I've given you a sample prospectus paragraph, so you can use that as a model, take that as your format, and basically plug in your own information here for your topic and your research. So you're going to refer to the assignment sheet not for inquiry 3, sorry, that should have been fixed, for the issue inquiry. And I've already given you a guided set of instructions for the issue inquiry, so you want to listen to that first, read through that document, because obviously knowing what the assignment is ultimately asking you to do is crucial to you writing a good prospectus. So you will need to do some preliminary research to begin to understand your issue, narrow your scope, find some preliminary research sources, decide on your position or approach, and determine an appropriate audience and format. Now, we will do much of this pre-work through class activities, and you, at this point, you've actually done a lot of this work, right? Because you had to write the textual inquiry paper, so some of you have done a lot of research and thought through some of these things, but you might not have thought about an appropriate audience or format. So you need to give yourself a lot of ample time to conduct research outside of class, okay? Once you've done that preliminary work, you've made these decisions about the issue, the scope, your research sources, the types of research you'll need, your position, your approach, and your appropriate audience and format, you're probably going to be ready to write the prospectus. So the prospectus for the public discourse paper, otherwise known as issue inquiry, sorry again, I should have fixed that. It should include at least the following items, right? You may want to also include your list of research questions or other questions you still have about your topic and paper. But your proposal, your actual proposal, should be in paragraph form and not in the bulletin list that I've provided here, okay? So here's what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to describe your working thesis or argument, all right? So, and here's an example. For example, I will argue that in this highly digital age, college students should be required to take a course in writing and developing web pages. You're going to explain why you're interested in this topic and why it is an important issue of public debate. So keep that public debate aspect in mind. If your issue is not an issue of public debate, then it's probably not a good topic for this paper, all right? So while you're still in the early stages of this, you can reconsider your topic if it's not an important issue of public debate. You want to, in the proposal, describe the audience to whom you will address the paper. Explain why you are writing to this audience, why this audience needs to be convinced about the issue. You're going to also consider how you're going to persuade that audience. What kind of sources are going to be most effective? And again, and I've said this in the guided instructions for the issue inquiry, do not choose a general audience, be specific, all right? You want to also describe the format you plan to use, right? So is this going to be a letter to the editor? Or a letter to a specific person, a speech, an academic essay? It could just be a standard academic essay, that's fine. You want to include a briefly annotated bibliography. Now, many people don't know what an annotated bibliography is. If you're not sure, right, here's what I'm going to explain it as. You're going to list the sources you're planning to use in standard Modern Language Association works cited format. So the annotated bibliography is going to look a lot like a works cited page. But in addition to listing the sources beneath each source, you're going to include a 1 or 2 sentence description, and that's what is called an annotation, of the content and why it's relevant to your topic. Okay, so you might, list a letter to the editor, about college students and their preparation. You might list an article in the Chronicle of Higher Education about what jobs college students are likely to be doing, right? And you might say, well, this article, in your explanation, you might say this article is from a reputable source and it provides statistics about what types of jobs college students get. So this is going to be helpful for me, okay? So the idea behind annotated bibliography is that you can use that as you research, especially if you were to do a longer research paper with more sources. If you keep that annotated bibliography as you're doing your research, it'll be easy for you to go back to that and talk about and look to different sources if you want to go back to them and use them differently. Alright, so here's an example prospectus, right? And what I did is I have the explanations here in brackets. So the working thesis, right, is I will argue that in this highly digital and globally connected age, college students should be required to take a course in writing and developing web pages for international audiences, right? Then I say why this is an important issue. Well, students going out into the job market today need every competitive edge possible, but college writing courses in this country generally prepare students to write papers for an English-speaking academic audience. And then it goes on. So there's a couple more sentences of explanation. Identify the format and the audience, why they're the appropriate audience, and or how they can affect your issue. So here I say I will write this paper as a letter to the chair of Miami's English department because that person is ultimately responsible for the department's curriculum. And then I talk about other implied audiences. Identify appropriate kinds of evidence. This is an academic audience within the Ohio State University system that wants to remain competitive with similar universities. Therefore, I will use sources from academic journals and college catalogs of other Ohio institutions to effectively persuade my audience on this issue. Okay, so the prospectus, as you can see, is a pretty lengthy paragraph. Paragraph typically 5 to 7 sentences. This is probably closer to about 10 or 12 sentences. It's not super long, but you do have to have this. You want to make sure that you answer all these bulletined items here and that you do not forget to include the annotated bibliography. That's worth about 50% in my mind of this assignment, okay? This is, I believe, a 50-point assignment, and I count it separate from the issue inquiry paper itself. Part of the reason why I'm asking you to do this is so that if I think your topic isn't refined enough, or maybe you've chosen a bad format, or you still have a general audience, I can get you some feedback about that early enough on in the process that you can still change your tack a little bit in terms of the topic, the audience, the research question, even go back and do some different research. So be prepared that when you write this, that I may come back to you and say, I want you to pursue a different line of research here, or I think a different format would make more sense for this. So while I want you to give this serious thought while you're writing the prospectus, I also don't want you to feel like you're maybe overly committed to these things, because you should be prepared to maybe get some feedback that may kind of change the direction of your research a little bit. Alright, so as always, let me know if you have questions. I am looking right now, you can't see this, but I'm looking right now in the Little Seagull Handbook to see if there's actually a section on annotated bibliographies, and it would be probably in the doing research section. There's some good sections on research in here about posing a research question, drafting a tentative thesis, doing field research, evaluating sources. So that's also a good section if you're not sure if the source you're looking at is a reliable source. Okay, I don't know that it has an explanation of an annotated bibliography. Let me see if there's any good websites out there that explain what an annotated bibliography is, and I'll provide you with a link to them. Okay, as always, let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.